Hello and welcome to the New World Review, your source for everything anime and manga. And today we have a review of the second episode of Fire Force, The Heart of a Fire Soldier. And it's safe to say that this is not really what I was expecting from a second installment after last week's very action-focused first outing. But I very much enjoyed what episode 2 delivered because it was such a stark contrast and demonstrated that, hey, this series could actually be capable of some decent emotional depth. And I'm really glad that Fire Force took this turn so early on because I feel like it was important to highlight the humanity of the Infernals rather than continuing to see them as monster of the week sort of threats for too much longer. I mean, in my review of the first episode, even I called them fire demon-y things, and that term greatly oversimplifies matters and makes it quite easy to see them disposed of. Whereas in this episode, dealing with the Infernal was such a painful and heartbreaking experience, because what they're forced to do is essentially euthanize someone. And of course, the whole episode very much centers around this idea that Company 8 are not some sort of special combative unit, but more of a group who are expected to perform this incredibly emotionally draining job and implement actions that nobody else can or should ever be expected to do. And once again, this was absolutely not what I was expecting. Even when they arrived at the scene and everything was all quiet, I was still thinking that things were going to get out of hand and very destructive very quickly. And then we cut to the Infernal sitting politely at the table, which was actually quite funny for a second, because at that moment my only experience with these things were violent and energetic. However, the true tragedy of the situation struck me very shortly after. It was incredibly simple but super impactful, and I feel like this specific case is something that's going to carry over with me to future Infernal cases, because from here on out I can't think of them as anything but exceptionally tragic humans. So things are getting very interesting from a moral perspective, and that was also highlighted by the whole idea of keeping your weapons concealed in public, and through the extended shots of the victim's daughter. Very, very well done. The last tragedy is not the only focus of this episode though, because we also have the introduction of Arthur Boyle, who seems to be the rival character for Shinra, and he brought a lot of fun stuff to the table, including some great comedy that was sorely needed to balance this episode out. I have to say that initially I am much more intrigued by his overall design and character than I am Shinra's though, although a lot of that may have to do with the fact that, almost any character who wields a sword, let alone a plasma blade, automatically skyrockets in terms of favorability with me. And also, after only one episode, I don't feel like I've had the proper time to really bond in any way with Shinra. I mean, yes, we've seen a glimpse of his tragic past, but just over 20 minutes of screen time isn't enough to stop another protagonist type from swooping in and capturing a bit more of my interest. And Arthur came into things very quickly. So quickly that I really hated the opening of this episode, because he just appeared right in front of Shinra, and a conflict of sorts started, to which Shinra seems to yell and then promptly get cut off as the opening credits begin playing. Which, and I cannot emphasize this enough, was jarring as hell. I honestly think it's one of the worst pieces of editing or direction that I have ever seen. And I don't mean the whole opening sequence, a lot of it was quite beautiful. I just mean the cut to the opening credits. This just is not how you start an episode or how you do anything. It was just so jarring and off-putting. I feel like a much better way to have gone about it would have been to have Arthur appear before Shinra, then cut to the close-up of him saying, "Yo, devil," or even after he says that he's here to slay a devil, and then hit the opening credits, cutting Shinra's whole bit about taking it outside altogether, or finding a way to include it after the opening, maybe, because it simply does not work the way it's presented, and it is a huge stain on this otherwise fantastic episode. And getting into more of said fantastic episode, there was a brilliant fight sequence featuring Maki absolutely owning both of our rookies, which I really appreciated, primarily because it showed off her pyrokinetic abilities, which I was very curious about last week. And it was just great to see her kick some ass, and there was a nice bit of comedy in there with the whole ogre thing, and she just seems like a nicely rounded character at this stage. Fun to watch, great in action, and cool abilities. What more can I ask for? I am particularly intrigued by her power to provide flames with what appears to be some sort of sentience. I don't think it was explained in the episode, maybe it was and I just missed it, but it was an absurdly cool power, and it makes me wonder if she could do the same to greater levels and quantities of flames, and essentially craft a Godzilla scale fire dude bruh that is completely under her control. Suppose we'll find out. There was also a tiny bit more of Hinama this week, and I'm still not entirely sold on him. He's just so damn intense. But that intensity is played for some decent laughs here, and so I'm looking forward to learning more about exactly what his deal is. The star of this week to me though was definitely Akitaru, and his constant display of competent leadership. Despite having no fun fire related abilities, he strikes me as by far the most important member of Company 8 due to his supreme decision making and ability to easily read and interact with people, the latter of which is a heavily underrated trait, and one that I don't think any other member of Company 8 has, because they all seem to have that one feature that gets them into some sort of conflict, whether it be serious or comical, mainly comical at this stage I guess, but stuff like Hinama's extreme seriousness, or Maki's foolishness and tendency to overreact at certain words, or even the lack of life experience of Shinra and Arthur. They all make interacting with others difficult at times, and Akitaru seems to have that special something that allows him to easily read people and situations. Very enviable. I wish I had anything even remotely resembling that kind of awareness and judgment. Next up, we were also given hints of a greater evil this week, with the introduction of Guy Face. Whether he's a legitimate big bad or some sort of lesser bad, I have no real opinion or inclination to guess on right now, but he has a cool enough design, I suppose. Kind of like if Alucard from Hellsing and Cross from D. Greyman had a secret anime love child. But finally, this episode also drops the concept of the rookie Fire Soldier games, which smells an awful lot to me like the beginnings of a classic shonen tournament. At the moment, I suppose I'm picturing something kind of like the sports festival in My Hero Academia, but this should be a lot of fun, if only for the fact that I imagine we'll be getting to meet a whole ton of characters from other companies. Which is great because I'm 2 episodes in and I'm already very, very eager to explore this expanded world in a bit more depth and get a feel for what other kinds of people are out there, as well as what they're capable of. But yeah, look, in essence, episode 2 has me even more sold on this series than the premiere last week. It has shown that Fire Force isn't necessarily at its best with big over-the-top flame-ridden action pieces, but that it can also handle quiet and powerful moments with incredible impact. And as a result, I will be eagerly awaiting next week. But that pretty much does it for episode 2 of Fire Force. If you enjoyed this video and the content this channel produces in general, then please do consider donating to the New World Review Patreon, because the support of all of you amazing people is what continues to make this channel possible. And if Patreon isn't quite your style, then please do leave this video a like, share, or subscribe, because it also helps support this channel an incredible amount. And if you'd like to join the fun at any time, then please do head over to my Discord server, where a wide array of shenaniganry takes place on a daily basis. And finally, please do comment with your thoughts on the episode. This has been the New World Review, and I'll see you next time.